The following video or audio, depending on where you're listening to, may contain adult themes that may not be suitable for all listeners. You have been warned. And now you're listening to the Irvin V. Griffin Jr. podcast here on Spreaker.com. Hey, this is Irvin V. Griffin Jr. and welcome once again to my podcast. And I gave that disclaimer at the very beginning because this one may get a little hairy. It's basically, anyone that's followed me from YouTube knows I'm a comic fan. I'm mainly a Marvel Comics fan, but I've looked at, dabbled in other comic properties here and there. And, my favorite, of course, being Marvel, but I do dabble a little bit into DC. The only character I really know anything about that I could really tell you, have a conversation about for hours about is Batman. I don't care if it's 1960s Batman or the darker Batman, which is the one I prefer, but I respect the 1960s Batman for what it was. Recently, one of the most popular Batman stories ever from the graphic novel called Batman the Killing Joke was adapted into a DC animated movie, which went straight to video. But I understand select theaters actually aired the movie over the weekend and yesterday, with pretty good audiences coming out to see it. It's now available today on digital HD, cheap plug for whoever puts out that kind of product. But one scene, and it doesn't matter, there are some people that hate the movie, there's some people that love it, but most people are in the middle. They don't love it, but they don't hate it. They would recommend you get it, but try to find it at a reduced price or something. But there's one scene in it that is getting a lot of controversy, apparently. And I haven't seen the movie, the adaptation, because when I was like 17 or 18, I actually read the original book. And needless to say, it was a very good psychological thriller. And it shows the depths, of depravity that the Joker was really willing to go to mess with and take down Batman. Likewise, it shows the quandary of Batman saying, we'll keep going around and around in this circle. One of these days, you're either going to kill me or I'm going to kill you. To the point where at the very end, and should be saying, spoiler alert, at the very end in the original book, there's an implication that he may very well have killed the Joker. But that story has since become canon, and it's obvious he did kill the Joker because the Joker's still around. But the scene, getting back on point, the scene that's getting a lot of controversy is an implied sex scene between Batman and Batgirl. Now, many are saying there's nothing in the history of the comic books of these two ever having any type of romantic relationship. That's true to a point. If you mean the mainstream canon Batman from the 1960s through the 70s, through the 90s, through the New 52, through Crisis on Infinite Earths and all that, yeah, there's no history. Now, they did make a comic book a while back called Batman Beyond based on the TV series. And in both the TV series and the comic book, they did imply that Batman and Batgirl, Bruce Wayne and Barbara Gordon, respectively, did have a relationship. A very intimate relationship. As well as a crime-fighting relationship. They decided to bring that into Batman the Killing Joke. Now, I've actually seen the scene. While it's nothing explicit or X-rated, it's not even really that R-rated. It is somewhat uncomfortable. Now, am I offended by the scene personally? No, not really. I'm not offended by the scene. but it wasn't necessary. At the same time, I'm not really up in arms like a lot of people are about it. Because people might say, oh, it's creepy. That's like you sleeping with your uncle or something. I'll be like, oh, hold up. Back up. Batman, at least from most of the iterations that he has been drawn, he at youngest has always been implied to be around 35 to 40 years old. Batgirl, in most of the iterations, has always been implied to be between 18 and early 20s. So it's not like we're watching child molestation. At least not officially. I can see where the creeper factor comes from. But if you think about it, it makes no more or less sense than Batman and Catwoman. I'm just playing devil's advocate for a second here. It makes no less sense than Batman and Catwoman. Because Batman and Catwoman is a relationship that should not really work or exist. But yet no one has a problem with that. And to be honest with you, Batman and Batgirl in some ways would make more sense. Yes, there's the age factor. But then you gotta think, these two work closely together. They've saved each other's behinds on several occasions. They fight crime together. They know each other's identities. Batman even helped Batgirl with her suit and her equipment. And how to be a detective. So, being that close, in that proximity, there's always an off chance. I mean, how many romances, forget the ones that, let's include the ones that did have a bad falling out. How many romances happen at the workplace? How many romances happen on the job? How many romances happen when you work in just close proximity with somebody? And yes, the creep factor aside, this makes just as much sense, like I said, as Batman and Catwoman. Probably more sense. And I'll admit, it did take me by surprise when it happened. And for Batman to kill and joke, this actually gives Batman more motivation to get the Joker. If you think about it, if he had a cold, regardless of how cold Batman at times is, he does have feelings. If he has any kryptonite at all in his game, is that he can feel. Is that women are almost his kryptonite because he has the greatest technology in the world, but his heart has no shield. If I can paraphrase a phrase from the show off of the Discovery Channel called Batman, the Psychology of the Dark Knight, which is a great little hour-long special if you could ever see it on TV, or you could find it on DVD, which I think it's on the Blu-ray version of The Dark Knight from 2008 in the bonus section. It's a great look into the psychology of Batman. And the reason he doesn't get involved much with relationships is because he does not want to risk his heart being broken, just like it was broken when his parents were killed. And for him to get involved with anyone, even someone like Batgirl, would be of great consequences. That's why most of his relationships have often been just casual and even physical in nature. And I would have to say the one with Barbara, explicit as it is, would be more powerful because this is someone he has fought alongside, like a comrade in arms. So this one would be more powerful and more personal than, let's say, a Catwoman. And also, one of the reasons that Barbara even started wearing the Batman mask, or the Batman motif, shall we say, is because she had a bit of a crush on him. Plus, she respected and admired what he did. So there's always been that. Now, in most alliterations, they have mainly put her with Dick Grayson, which would make more sense since they're closer in age. But her being with Batman, as creepy as that is, that's not very out of the question. I mean, no one gets creeped out about, I'm using real life examples, about Bill Clinton hollering at younger women, about Donald Trump. Heck, all his wives were like 1,000 years younger than he was. I mean, let's be honest. So, while I don't think the scene was necessary, at the same time, it don't creep me out. It actually makes sense. If you want me to be honest. And let's be honest. Bruce Wayne, Batman, is the ultimate pussy hound. Let's just be honest. He's the ultimate pussy hound. I mean, here he has a young, beautiful woman basically just literally throwing herself at him. Then took him down on his back after an argument. Looked like she was about to punch his lights out, but instead lays a kiss on him. And there he is, feeling all up and down her back, including her ass. She then still has him down, takes off her cape and mask, takes off her top. She's in nothing but her bra and pants. And then the camera pans away, but you know what's going down. I mean, come on. At Bruce being Bruce, he did his duty, shall we say. Because he's the Batman. I can imagine Dick Grayson finding out about that ad going off. He was like, what? Bruce, how could you? What, you don't have enough women? I know you be tapping Catwoman before you take her back to Stonegate. You probably have Harley Quinn give you some blow before you take her back to Arkham. Yeah, and I tell her to ask the Joker, how do I taste? Come on, couldn't you leave a brother one woman? You had to have Barbara too. What did I always tell you, Dick, about women? What's that song? Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. Lick on these nuts and suck the dick. Yeah, I mean, I can see. I'm being somewhat dirty humor about this, but seriously, Bruce is one of those. When it comes to crime fighting stuff, comes to, helping his fellow man who is hurting, he's the greatest man in the world. But when it comes to interpersonal relationships and other people's feelings on them, he gives no fucks. The Dark Knight version of Batman, that is, gives no fucks at all. Hey, he'll leave your girl alone as long as she ain't coming at him. But if she starts to come at him, unless you somebody you really, like, for example, look at Batman the Animated Series. Lois Lane showed him interest. Or rather on Superman when he would guest star. Lois Lane showed him interest. And he went right at her. Even knowing he was Clark Kent, Superman's girl. And then Superman was because Batman was actually in Metropolis searching for the Joker. He said, well, you have been spending your time splitting between yourself and Lois. Yes, Lois has occupied my time. But it seems like to me, you've had your chance. I mean, basically just put Superman in his place without having to lay a finger on him. I'm like, that was Batman was saying, I don't give a fuck. She came at me. Plus, I'm the Batman. Maybe if you'd have been a little more of the Batman, you'd have her by now. But seriously, Bruce Wayne, Batman he has no chill when it comes to the ladies. He gives no fucks at all. So what he did in Batman the Killing Joke, it wasn't necessary, but it wasn't that shocking to see or hear about that at all. But that's my take on it. You can download this on Spreaker.com under the Irvin V. Griffin Jr. podcast. Go to Twitter. My handle is Griff Phoenix. And, of course, YouTube. Irvin Griffin, a.k.a. Mr. Griffin. That's all I got to say on this subject. I'm out. I'm Irvin V. Griffin Jr. You have a nice day, folks.